Tonight on Joy News Prime, President Akufo-Addo nominates 46 persons to serve as ministers in his second term. Though many of those named are former ministers, a few names have been added, while some former deputy ministers, including Dr. Yaw Edichum and Godfrey Dame, have been elevated. The number of ministers has also been slashed and some ministries scrapped. We'll be telling you what the president says informed this decision. In the country's COVID-19 fight, there have been some more arrests of people who were found to have flouted the directive on the wearing of face masks. Some, however, believe the arrests are pointless.
Good operation, but I think as they are doing this operation, the police should come with their own face masks.
For those who don't believe COVID-19 is real, we'll take you into the COVID holding facility at the Ga East Hospital, where some patients are struggling to stay alive.
I used to call myself the COVID police until the police caught me. It took it for granted one day.
Meanwhile, doctors attending to these patients say they are concerned at the severity of the cases that are coming to them now.
We think more people are ill now than last year, and the severity of the illness has increased compared to what we were seeing last year.
Also in this bulletin, 4 injured in 2 separate accidents on the Ablekuma-Mahian Road.
The car was coming to my shop. So let's say by the grace of God, we just stand up in front of the shop and the car crashed everything and I have been affected on my leg.
And in business details, why AFCFTA could create a vast market for the businesses in the USA as we explore US-Africa trade ties under the Biden administration.
Moving in a multilateral direction, which puts us in a very good stead because now we have the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, which will be a good vehicle for us to deal with Biden's multilateral efforts.
Former President John Mahama wants the Supreme Court to put on hold hearing of the election petition challenging the outcome of the 2020 presidential election until it determines its review application in the court. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Joy News Prime is coming to you live from our Final Four Studios in Kokomlemle here in Accra, on digital address, on your digital terrestrial TV because we're free to air, and also on DSTV channel 421 and GoTV channel 144. This is home of independent, fearless, credible and impactful journalism. Do stay tuned. Many thanks for choosing us. Let's begin with President Akufo-Addo, who has submitted to Parliament for approval a list of persons he's nominated to serve as ministers in his new government. Included in the list of 46 are many of those who served in his first administration. A few others, such as former Deputy Education Minister Dr. Yaw Edichum and former Deputy Attorney General Godfrey Dame, have been elevated to serve as substantive ministers. The number of ministries has also been slashed, while some others have been scrapped. Presidential correspondent Elton Brobe joins us with more on the appointees. Elton, why don't you tell us those who have been appointed?
So, Aisha, from the list that we have from the presidency, it looks like names that played various roles in the president's first term in office still found themselves in the second term in the president's administration. So let's start from the top. And for the position of national security, we have Albert Kandapah as the sector minister nominee for the position of national security. Then we have Ken Ofori-Atta as the minister nominee for finance. For trade and industry, Alan Kojo Kyerematen. Defense, Dominic Nitiu, member of parliament. Interior, Ambrose Derry, member of parliament. Foreign affairs and regional integration, Shirley Ayo-Kobotwe. Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Godfrey Dame, who until this particular announcement was a Deputy Attorney General. For the position of local government decentralization and rural development, there's a new addition. We have Honorable Dan Kwaku Botwe, who's also a member of parliament for Okre in the Eastern region. Parliamentary affairs, again, the majority leader was chairman and was member of parliament for Swami constituency in the Ashanti region. For communications and digitization, there is Esla Owusu Ekufu, member of parliament. Food and agriculture, Dr. Owusu Afiye Akoto, a former member of parliament for Kwadaso in the Ashanti region. For energy, the education minister in the first term of President Akufo-Addo, Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh, member of parliament for Menchia South, moved from the education ministry and now heading the Ministry of Energy. For education, his deputy, whom he worked with in the first term of President Akufo-Addo's administration, Dr. Yao Osei Aduchi, member of parliament for Bosomke, is now the minister designate for education. Health is Kweku Ajman Menu, member of parliament for Dormouse Central. Lands and natural resources, we have a new member of parliament representing the people of Damango, former deputy chief of staff, and now Minister Designate for Lands and Natural Resources, Samuel Abujinapo.
Elton, hold on there for me, because we've been joined by one of those who has been elevated, Dr. Yao Educhum. Congratulations are in order, Dr. Educhum. Hello, Doc. Hello, Dr. Educhum.
Hello.
You're on Joy News Prime, and I'm congratulating you for your elevation. What do you think may have earned you this promotion?
Thank you so much. I'm grateful to God for His grace, and very thankful to the President for giving me the opportunity to serve the good people of Ghana. And I cannot say this without also thanking my friends in the media for rooting for me and supporting me and giving me the opportunity to communicate with Ghanaians. And of course, the people of Bosomtwe for voting for me and giving me the opportunity to serve in Parliament and also serve the people of Ghana. So I'm grateful, very grateful.
So how did the news get to you?
Of course, the President met with me, so I knew it was coming. But a friend, I was having a meeting, and a friend said, "Hey, do you know that they've released a list?" And he showed it to me, and said, "Wow, finally it's out." And I think I'll never forget that moment when I saw my name as Education Minister Designate, and very exciting. At first, I could not believe it. It has been a long journey.
You could not believe it?
It has come. Yes, I'm here.
You could not believe it was your name there?
Yes.
But why? But you've earned it. You should believe in yourself.
Yes, I believe in myself, but it also takes somebody, a leader who is looking for talent, a leader who is looking for competent people to serve his country. I mean, you can do all the work, but if the President is not looking for competent people to lead on his behalf and to transform the fortunes of the country, even though he may be competent, it will not amount to much. So I'm very grateful that the President is a leader who is looking for competent people to serve the good people of Ghana. So I'm forever grateful to Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Otherwise, my competence will amount to nothing.
We all certainly are happy for you, and congratulations once again. But what are your marching orders?
Marching orders will happen after my vetting. I believe my good friends in the MPP and NDC will all rally around me. I know they'll grill me a bit, but I think they know what I'm about, and they'll give me their blessings so that I can serve the group of Ghana. And thereafter, the marching orders will be received when the President swears me in. And from that point forward, we are going to look at education as the most important vehicle for socio-economic transformation of the country, and not an end in itself, but a means to an end. So in everything that we do, it's not the process that counts, it's the outcome that counts. and the linkages between education and economic transformation is what we are going to pursue. So much of this will happen after I'm sworn in as the Minister for Education for the Republic of Ghana.
But is there something different you seek to do that you couldn't have done in your first term under your minister, your boss?
Let me tell you this. The President ultimately has a vision supported by the manifesto, and that is what we pursued during our first term. And that we also have a manifesto for the second term. So, of course, some things will be different because what we said in the second term manifesto is not the same thing we said in the first manifesto. So, yes, I'll have opportunity to pursue the President's vision for the country, manifested through the manifesto of his second term. And, of course, some of the things are different, and we are going to pursue that so that in totality, it will be said that President Akufo-Addo took education seriously, and we were able to compete with other nations around the world. I don't believe in the idea of being the best in Africa. I think we can be the best in the world, and our education systems should be fashioned along those lines so that together we can fashion an education system that truly makes us competitive around the world, and that forever transform the fortunes of this country.
Congratulations once again, and we wish you all the best in your new role. And that was Dr. Educhum, former Deputy Education Minister, who is now nominee for the Education Ministry. Elton Brobe is still there with the list. Elton, tell me more about those who have appointments and those who do not have.
So, Angela, what we see is simply a continuation, mostly from the first term of President Akufo-Addo. So I got to education, and we had the Education Minister nominee, Dr. Yaw Adutwum. So from education to health, the Kwaku Agyeman, Member of Parliament for the Mas Central Constituent, Samuel Abujina, Member of Parliament for Damango, is heading the Lands and Natural Resources Ministry. That's if it is successful with the Parliament's Appointments Committee. Roads and Highways, same person, Honorable Kwesi Amakwanta, Member of Parliament for Etiwa West in the Eastern Region. Works and Housing, Francis Asenso Boache, who until this appointment served as Deputy Chief of Staff to President Akufo-Addo in his first term, now Member of Parliament for Bantama in the Ashanti region, and now elevated to a cabinet status, Minister for Works and Housing. And then from Works and Housing, moved to Transport. Kwaku Ofori Esiama, he held the same position during the first term of President Akufo-Addo. Fisheries and Aquaculture, maybe Sawa Kumsem. During the first term, she was the Minister for Special Development, and now Fisheries and Aquaculture. She's Member of Parliament from the Central Region. Railway Development, there's a change in here. John Peter Amewu, in the first term of President Akufo-Addo, he served first as Minister for Land and Natural Resources, later reshuffled to head the Energy Ministry, and now to Railway Development. He is a Member of Parliament for Hohoi in the Volta region. Sanitation and Water Resources, same person, Cecilia Abena-Dapaah. In the first term of President Akufo-Addo, she was first made Minister for Aviation, and then later moved to Sanitation and Water Resources, now maintaining that same portfolio, subject to approval by Parliament. Tourism, Art and Culture, we have a new face, Awar Mohammed, but not new in the government, because in the first term of President Akufo-Addo, he was the Minister for Business Development, and now has been moved to a substantive ministry, Tourism, Arts and Culture. Gender, Children and Social Protection, the Member of Parliament for Dom Kwabinyam, Sarah Adwoa-Safo. In the first term of President Akufo-Addo, she held the Minister of State at the Procurement Ministry. That ministry has been scrapped, and now she will be heading the Gender, Children and Social Protection. That is if she's successful with Parliament. Chief Tension and Religious Affairs is Ebenezer Kojokum, Member of Parliament, Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation. Dr. Kwaku Efie, Member of Parliament for Sevier, also in the Western North region. Ignatius Balfour, he was the Minister for Employment in the first term and has been nominated again for the same portfolio. Member of Parliament for Sunyani West in the Bono region. Information, again, is taken over by Kojo Oponko, Member of Parliament for Ofuasia Yerebi in the Eastern region, and now again nominated for the position of Minister for Information. Youth and Sports, there's a change in here. Isaac Kwame Esiama, Member of Parliament for Atuman Ponua in the Ashanti region. He held this position during the first term of President Akufo-Addo. He actually is one of the longest serving, or he went down as one of the longest serving ministers for youth and sports, but now is not in the government for the second term of President Akufo-Addo, because that position has been taken over by the Member of Parliament for Yakaba Kubore, Mustafa Yusuf. He served as Executive Secretary of the National Service Secretariat and now elevated to the position of the Cabinet Status as Youth and Sports Minister. Now we have a new ministry, Public Enterprises, and the former Deputy Energy Minister, Member of Parliament for Ifia in the Western Region, Honorable Joseph Kujo, is now the minister nominee for this position. And finally, Works and Housing, Frida Prempeh, Member of Parliament for Tana North in the Ahafo region. She was a deputy minister in the same ministry, but now elevated to the position of a minister of state. But the information I have regarding the Works and Housing Ministry, and the reason we have a substantive minister, a minister of state, and likely a deputy minister, is that government has identified housing as a major economic activity for the second term of President Akufo-Addo. The more reason why a lot of attention is being paid to this sector. My information is that government within the next 4 years is hoping to construct as many as possible affordable housing projects, especially for those in the public sector, under a rent-to-own initiative. That's how come there's concentration here at the Ministry of Works and Housing. And the more reason why President Akufo decided to go in for somebody he can really trust, somebody who knows how he thinks, how he works. And that's how come a former Deputy Chief of Staff who also was the President Advisor on Political Affairs, Asenso Boakye, heading this ministry with another Minister of State. And then for the regions, 16 regions in all, I will just run you through. Halfway George Boakye, Ashanti region, Simon Osemensah, he was the minister during the President Akufo-Addo first term in the Ashanti region. There's a change in the Bono region. Justina Owusu-Banahene, she was Sunyane MCE, and now substantive Bono regional minister. Bono East is Abidjan. Central region is again Justin Amarigold Asan. Eastern region is Seth Echampong, former member of parliament from Triaso. Greater Accra region is Henry Korte. He was a deputy interior minister during the first term of President Akufo-Addo, and now has been moved to the Greater Accra region as a regional minister. Northern region is Sani Al-Hassan Saibu. Northeast is Yidana Zakaria. Oti is Joseph Makubu. Savannah region is Saeed Mahazu Jibril. Upper East is Seven Yakubu. Upper West is Dr. Hafiz bin Sali. Volta region is Dr. Achiboye Alechap. Western is Kwamena Oshwe Dakume as a member of parliament for Takoradi. And he held the same position during the first term of President Akufo-Addo. And then finally, Western North is Richard Oben. And that's his constitutionally demanded. This list tomorrow, when Parliament is in session at 10 a.m., a communication will be read by the Speaker of Parliament, and then a referral will be made to the Appointments Committee. The job of the Appointments Committee is to first meet on the list, schedule them, and then write to the public to tell them that if you have anything against any of the ministers that have been nominated by President Akufo-Addo, please submit your petition within a week to 2 weeks, and then they will start the public sitting. When they are done, they will present their report to the plenary for a decision to be taken on these ministers. The recommendations of the Appointments Committee will form the basis upon which the plenary will vote to whether accept, reject the nominees. Aisha.
Elton, you started with reasons why this kind of people have been chosen for the various ministries. I'm curious to know more about what really went into choosing all these people to head these ministries, and also the scrapping of certain ministries and bringing in new ministries.
Aisha, I know for sure that President Akufo-Addo held several discussions with key holders, especially in the party, some identifiable groups in the country. Now, after the elections, some members of the party had concerns about the attitude of some of the ministers and the need for the president to reshuffle some of them. There was also calls for the president to bring in new faces, because the outcome of the election was such that Ghanaians were not particularly or overly excited about the performance of the NPP administration. That's how come the results came in the way it did. Now, I'm told that President Akufo-Addo's argument for maintaining some of them when he met some of these people was that he needed continuity in the office, because he had used the last 4 years to lay a solid foundation that is going to propel the country into an economic takeoff. And for him, but for COVID, Ghana would have risen to a position where we'll find ourselves as a proper middle-income country. But COVID eroded most of the gains. And for that reason, there was a need for him to maintain the status quo, the need for them to work with people he had worked with in his first 4 years, who helped in the rolling out of the foundation ready for the takeoff. So any change would, according to him, disrupt his plan and activities that he has for the country for the next 4 years. That is how come some of these names came back strongly, apart from few areas like energy and education and few other ministries that saw a change. There was also the need for a proper regional balance. So some people who all of us thought were going to find themselves in the administration, somebody like Isaac Asiama, Minister for Youth and Sports, is no longer in the lineup because basically President Akufo-Addo says he wants to respect the regional balance that the Constitution imposes on him. So that's how come these names are in the list. But fundamentally, he has identified, for example, housing. He has identified building a robust economy that is self-reliant, because according to him, COVID has, opened the country up to the need for us to rely inwardly for our own solutions, and also the need for the health minister to continue to construct the 80 hospitals identified in areas that do not have health facilities. So bringing in new persons, according to him, would present a situation where they have to now learn from the scratch and start building. By the time they are on their feet, they will be 2 years into the administration. So continuity was a main factor. He also looked at competence and people who believe in the vision of His Excellency the President. These are the overriding principles that push him to maintain almost the same squad for the next 4 years.
Wish him all the best, all of them, as they await vetting by Parliament's Appointments Committee. Elton Brobe is Presidential Affairs correspondent, and he'll be bringing us more on the list that will be occupying various ministerial positions. Still to come in this bulletin, in the country's COVID-19 fight, there have been some more arrests of people who were found to have flouted the directive on the wearing of face masks. Some, however, believe the arrests are pointless.
It's a good operation, but I think as they are doing this operation, the police should come with their own face masks.
And for those of you who don't believe COVID-19 is real, we will take you into the COVID holding facility at the Ga'is Hospital, where some patients are struggling to stay alive.
I used to call myself the COVID police until the police caught me. It took it for granted 1 day.
We'll bring you details after this break shortly. Welcome back to Joy News Prime. Now to the 2020 presidential candidate of the National Democratic Congress, John Mahama, who is asking the Supreme Court to put all proceedings relating to the election petition on hold. The former president is at the Apex Court challenging the 2020 election results. The court on Wednesday ordered that Mr. Mahama's team files its witness statements by close of day on Thursday. Lead counsel for the petitioner, Chachu Chikata, informed the court they had filed an application urging the court to review its early decision that turned down a request to subject the EC chairperson to 12 questions. Okay, so on your screen is that the petitioner, John Dramani Mahama, and the Electoral Commission, who is the first respondent, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the second respondent, and the motion on notice for stay of proceedings. It says, please take note that this honorable court shall be moved by counsel for and on behalf of petitioner, applicant, and applicant hearing, applicant praying the court for an order staying the proceedings pending before this court, pending the hearing and determination of the review application filed by the applicant on the 20th January 2021 upon the grounds stated in the accompanying affidavit, and for such other orders as to this honorable court may deem fit. Now, the National Peace Council is hoping that the 2020 election petition will be dealt with expeditiously so that the country can heal and move on. Speaking to the media on the sidelines of a 2020 election reflection series organized by the council, board chairman of the Peace Council, Reverend Dr. Ernest Edu Gyamfi, expressed hope the election petition being litigated at the Supreme Court will be concluded soon.
We are anticipating by middle of February, this whole issue should come to an end. And end of February, the country should be healing and moving on to get out.
Do you think it's enough time to be able to dispose of an election petition?
Well, that is the roadmap that the Supreme Court has set itself. And when we did the Peace Pact, remember the Chief Justice gave them copies of those manuals. And the manual states exactly how the processes are supposed to be. So our prayer is that the parties will address themselves to those things and follow through so that we can get this thing over as quickly as possible.
Reverend Dr. Ernest Edu Gyamfi also defended the council from criticism from the opposition National Democratic Congress over what the party says is the nonchalance with which issues affecting it are dealt with by the council. Meanwhile, the Peace Council held a reflection session on the just ended 2020 general election to dialogue and review the process. My colleague Kwekwa Sante has more in the following report.
Reflections and reviews are a necessary part of ensuring that an event or process was done according to plan. Indeed, as a country, some have argued that one of Ghana's greatest challenges is the lack of a proper monitoring and evaluation mechanism. Peace Council therefore brought together stakeholders of the just ended general election to reflect on the whole process. Executive Director of the Media Foundation for West Africa, Suleiman Abrahima, indicated that its media monitor helped to tone down incendiary language on our airwaves prior to the election.
As we realized in 2012, 2016, at the beginning it will be so hot, but as we go along, things begin to tone down. Campaign language becomes something that is unattractive, so the public begins to say, oh, party for we don't do attempt. So the parties themselves begin to make that pronouncements that, oh, our campaign will be about issues, we won't focus on insult, and so on and so on. And we heard that quite a bit, towards the middle and the end of the campaign period. And if we look at the numbers, increasingly we see a decrease in the incidence of intemperate language that happens on our network. And sometimes it's also not just the numbers, but the seriousness of the kinds of comments that are made.
On his part, Director of Electoral Services of the Electoral Commission, Dr. Srebo Okweku, advocated for the speedy prosecution of offenders of electoral laws even after the election is concluded.
We also know of what happened at the Upper East and the Central region. The two officials were detaching the ballot papers from the first candidate, and all of them have been handed over to the police, and they are in court as we speak. So we are asking the police and the court to fast track it, because we need to be punishing people so that people to serve as warning to others. What is happening in Ghana is that when immediate election is done, any crime that is committed is also there. But we need to be punishing people so that it will serve as warning to others.
But with all the security issues that came with the 2020 general election, the police administration is assuring they are investigating the violence and killings that characterized the aftermath of the polls.
The IGP has constituted some teams to be on the field to gather relevant information and identify gaps. Where did we go wrong? Such that we can fill such gaps in the near future. 2024 is just at the corner, so that we can improve upon them. There's the need to also engage various stakeholders early enough to ensure that all the necessary steps that need to be taken to ensure that nobody loses his or her life will be attained.
We'll take a break on Joy News Prime and bring you business when Charles Aite takes over.
Hello, good evening. It's time for business. I'm Charles Aite. An international trade relations expert is upbeat that the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement will ignite interest in the new Biden administration to strengthen trade ties between Africa and the United States. Let's listen in.
I'd want to believe in such vein because already President Biden has given indication of his readiness to be more open in dealing with countries such as in Africa. As you did rightly say, he's expected to unblock the ascendancy of the WTO of Nkonjo-Iweala of Nigeria, which would be a good thing for Africa. And also, he has indicated his desire for multilateralism, as indicated in his rejoining the Paris Peace Climate Accord and all those stuff. So it does tell you that he's moving in a multilateral direction, which puts in a very good stead because now we have the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, which will be a good vehicle for us to deal with Biden's multilateral efforts. And for Africa, I think it is good for America and under Biden or whichever president to try and engage Africa because really Africa has the potential to be a world player. As we do realize in the next few years, by 2021, about half of the world's population will be in Africa. So it does bode well for any president anywhere at all to try and engage Africa on an even keel and try and make sure that the interests of Africa are also sought in the relations in terms of trade, in terms of whatever beginning is going on. Because dealing with about half of the world's population, in a few years from now, is something that should engage the attention of all world leaders.
Let's narrow it down to Ghana. What do you feel must be the priority line when it comes to negotiations with the U.S., this new U.S. administration on trade lines?
Well, there are a myriad of issues that could be put on board. I mean, already Ghana has a very good relationship with America, would seek to up it in all aspects. I mean, there's AGOA, for instance, that has stood us in a very good state. We could reactivate that and see how far we can escalate that, because that gives us access to non-tariff products to the U.S. markets.
Solutions is predicting a buoyant economy for Ghana this year with an expected growth rate of 4.8% as services and industry sectors recover sharply. Here's Senior Country Risk Analyst at Fitch Solutions, William Atwell.
I mentioned in the presentation our GDP, real GDP growth expectations for 2021, fairly buoyant, expecting around 4.8%. That's following the slowdown to 1.3% is our estimate for 2020. Ghana, of course, experienced a technical recession in the middle part of last year, 2 consecutive quarters of contraction, Q2 understandably being the deeper of the 2 contractions, Q3 relatively shallow contraction. And the data that we've seen from the final months of the year does suggest that economic activity accelerated towards the end of the year. So we expect that Ghana exited the recession towards the end of last year. Looking ahead to this year, we're expecting pretty strong consumer spending.
Well, the head of customer experience at Star 787 Hash Lottery, Richard Akoto-Bamfo, is admonishing Ghanaians, especially those beyond 18 years old, to join the lottery game to become millionaires. Here's his statement.
Richard Akoto-Bamfo said this when Samuel Opoku-Isiama, an accountant from Wager, emerged the 3rd unique prize winner in 2021 during the 60th draw last Saturday, bagging home 20,000 cedis. His brother, who represented him,
from Asempa FMA, and he called me and said, there is something around 787 lotteries, so we should all try our luck. So we all tried, and along the line, I stopped, and he continued to. So 2 days ago, he called me and said, he has won it. So I thought he was joking. Eh? So he said today I should come and represent him and collect the check for him. So I came here and I have seen everything. Everything is rare. And I'm encouraging everybody to participate or get involved in 787 lotteries. It's rare.
That'll be all for business. Sports is up next.
Hello, good evening and welcome to the sports segment with me, Oreko Ampofo. Well, the big story coming in from today is that Kudjo Fianu has been re-elected as chairman of the Ghana Leagues Clubs Association for a second term after beating Seoul Competition and Isaac Kumsin. Now, Fianu polled 71 votes, whilst Kumsin secured 41 votes. Joy Sports' Haruna Mubarak was at the Accra Sports Stadium and filed this report.
The nerve-wracking election was held at the Accra Sports Stadium, where 113 delegates gathered to cast their votes for 13 candidates who contested for the chairman slot, vice chairman, treasurer, and representatives from Premier League, Division 1, Division 2, and Women's Division. The election started with the Women's Division, and it was keenly contested as the electorates were 16 in number. Both contestants, Anita Wiredu and Edna Quagrain, had 8 votes in the first round. This led to a second round of voting, where the 2 contestants were given 5 minutes to convince their delegates. Despite the lobbying, the 2 contestants still attained 8 votes as the tie ended in stalemate. This necessitated the electoral body, headed by former GFA Vice President Fred Papo, to hand a decision on what to do to the incoming executive board of GALCA. After a short while, the 113 delegates began casting their votes to elect their preferred candidates for the various positions. Chief Executive Officer of Asante Kotoko, Nana Yawamponsa, Interallied CEO, Delali Senaye, and 11 Wonder CEO, Albert Kome, were notable personalities who went to cast their votes. After 2 hours of voting and counting, incumbent chairman Kudjo Fianu retained his seat and another 4-year term to lead GALCA as he had 71 votes. His competitor, policeman Isaac Wilberforce Kumsin, who was extremely self-assured of a victory and was hoping to get the nod after he lost to Fianu in the last elections held 4 years ago, was at the losing end again, securing just 41 votes. Kudjo Fianu, speaking to Joy Sports, attributed his overwhelming triumph to his good policies.
You should be happy if you win any contest, a well-fought contest. What do? It's natural that you'll be happy. So I'm happy. But then, whilst being happy, I'm also mindful of the responsibility ahead of me.
You had over 70 votes. What did that trick for you?
Good policy, good message. I concentrated on issues without allowing my attention to be drawn to other things. We have been in football for decades, and we know the message that is acceptable to football people. When you are dealing with football people, you should weigh the message that you carry to them. And I weighed my message to them, and overwhelmingly, they accepted my message. And then the program that we all have for GALCA. They also appreciated, especially the challenges that we faced in our first tenure. It was not by exaggeration to say that, things happen, and Ghana football virtually was on its knees. Anas came and gone, then COVID is here with us. So it wasn't a roller coaster type of administration. So the football people understood our message and decided to endorse us.
Fianu will be assisted by John Ansa of Ebisian Dwarfs, who got elected as vice chairman after he defeated Alex Akume by 66 votes to 47. The Ghana Premier League will be represented by Edmond Aka and George Ofosuhene. Linda Ansong of Liberty Professionals also humbled Justice Boyson with 90 votes to claim the treasurer position. Division 1 will be represented by Eugene Noble. Division 2, Emmanuel Opoku as its representative. GALCA is a welfare body of football clubs in the country.
Kudjo Fianu, who would be leading that welfare body for the next 4 years. And news just coming in also is that Honorable Mustafa Yusuf, who's the former executive secretary of the National Service Secretariat, has been appointed by President Akufo-Addo as the Youth and Sports Minister designating out the Member of Parliament for Yakaba Kubori constituency, replaces Honorable Isaac Isiama, who's the Member of Parliament for Akuma Imponua. Well, that wraps up the first segment of sports here on on the Joy Newsroom. I'll be back to bring you part 2. Till then, it's bye-bye for now.
And it's time for Showbiz. Becky is here with the very latest. Hello, Becky.
Hello to you, Aisha. You do know that the president has released the list of... Oh, it's actually the second list.
It's the second list coming from the presidency. The first had to do with some presidential staffers, and then now these are ministerial nominees waiting for vetting.
Yeah. And I'm very particular about the creative arts industry, and we have a name, Dr. Ibrahim Mohammed Awal. Okay. Yes. So, Asha, this
the name rings a bell.
Yeah. So he is actually the former minister for business development, Dr. Ibrahim Mohammed Awal, and he is the tourism, arts and culture minister designate. Okay. This actually comes after, just basically waiting for vetting. And Aisha, what we also know is he once served as a CEO for graphics.
Okay.
And he's married with 4 children. Okay. And so we're waiting for, something to hear something from him eventually. After
looking forward to seeing his performance in the creative arts industry. Prior to the nomination, the creative arts sector has been in the news as to the kind of reforms that you need to have in there. And I mean, a number of suggestions out there. So, I mean, he comes in with higher expectations. Yes. A lot of people are expecting him to do a lot of things for the creative art and to turn around
things,
how
that we've been asking for. And Aisha, I'm also looking forward to the person that I don't know who picks the deputy minister.
The president.
Oh, okay. So we'll be waiting for the president.
Welcome back to Joy News Prime to the rest of our stories. And the Central Region Police have arrested over 100 people on the streets for violating the COVID-19 protocols. The operation that was carried out simultaneously throughout the region, according to the police, is to ensure strict adherence to the wearing of face masks. Richard Kwejonyako joined the operation and has come through with this report.
On the street here in Cape Coast, precisely Abra, and the police are embarking on an operation to arrest people that are not in face mask. A lot of people have been arrested. They are currently in the police bus that is here. A lot more arrests are also still ongoing. People have reservations though. These are the people that have been arrested. They are a bus load. They've been arrested. They are sending them to the police station. The bus would return and then more arrests would be effected. It's not the only place the police have told us they would be, but they want to be in all places, at least in Cape Coast, to ensure. Let me speak with this gentleman who is here. How do you see this operation that is ongoing here?
My name is Steve. I'm a Nigerian. It's a good operation, but I think as they are doing this operation, the police should come with their own face masks to give to the people, because there are some people that cannot afford it, and there are some people that they are not aware about it, that the exercise will take place today like this. So I will advise the police, when they are carrying out their operation, they should also come out with some face masks, to share to the people, not just violently taking them into the car like that.
But people will say that, well, the announcement and the directive has been given since, and so people do not have any excuse not to be in face.
Yes, I understand, but from my own point of view, that's what I'm saying this, just...
Yes, anybody John Abaya no actually said Medoko, which knows massive. Almost to about Namoko Pifit, or we are Nayaleno. Nayaleno, or what chef, Amasano in Apple, so I feel now, Modi will have a jaw say, Yaliaba to be Russian news mass. And you're fine. Telephone no mobile mine ablo. Telephone no mobile mine ablo. It's Manuus.
We are currently at the regional police headquarters. The people you see here, it is not a conference that they are organizing, but these are the people that have been arrested for non-compliance of the COVID-19 protocols. So you see they've been given seats here at the regional police headquarters. We are waiting for the action that would be done by the police, whether to caution them and leave them so that next time they comply, or whether they will be put before court. And then we do not know what the police would be saying, but these are the people that have been arrested. Some of them were arrested on the street, others in their vehicles, others too at their workplaces for not wearing the face mask.
The purpose of the exercise is to ensure that the general public put on the nose mask as they come out. Again, we also want to make sure that by putting on the nose mask, we are told that we can also reduce the spread of COVID-19. So basically, we went from whoever is not wearing, the person is arrested, and the operation is ongoing. Now we have arrested 82, and we are still counting.
COVID-19 has killed 358 people in Ghana, including some prominent citizens. Though many others have been killed around the world, there are many who still don't believe coronavirus is real, as what appears to be a second wave runs through the country. However, the people who are getting infected are names that are familiar: someone's auntie, mother, or brother. The Joy News' health desk has been to the Ga-East Hospital to see and speak to some of these patients who have some pieces of advice for members of the public. Matilda Gavi has more.
In this room, there are 4 critically ill COVID-19 patients needing the care and assistance of critical nurses who are going every length, who are doing all it takes to make sure these patients are stable and brought out of this unit. Are you doing?
He's on oxygen, and then the system has gone down. Okay. So I'm just maintaining it, the level, so that he can take it.
So that he can become stable?
Yeah. So when they bring the other cylinder, then we can put him on it.
Inside the high dependency unit of the Ga-East Hospital, very critically ill COVID-19 patients are being attended to. 4 patients are battling for a second chance to live. Every beep from these ventilators speaks volume. Some sick person living on, or a life gradually slipping out of time.
A lot of cases here, we do lose some of them. So it's better to be in the comfort of your home than being in an ICU.
Linda, not her real name, is no longer in the ICU. She's recovering from COVID-19 under very strict supervision. Before she tested positive, she was very mindful of adhering to the safety protocols until she let her guard down at a family gathering.
I used to call myself the COVID police until the police caught me. It took care for until one day.
One day? Where did you go?
No. Just family.
Oh.
Family, yes.
And it happened to you?
Yes, it did.
Grandma Ife stayed away from all public places, stayed home with the family, but got infected.
My grandchildren were for a party, and after the party they swam. So when they came to me, I think 2 days later, the big granddaughter was having some symptoms. By then I didn't know the symptom. My eyes was like a running nose. Then later when I saw that she was getting temperature, so we rushed her to the pharmacy if it's malaria. Then the pharmacist told us that it's not, but he just gave us some first aid. But when we came on the following day, I said, no, let's go to Nogochi. So the little one was coming closer to me. So I think after 4 days, I also started feeling a bit throat itching. But I didn't take it serious. I just went to do my concoction and I drank and it was over. Then 3 days later, that this thing will hit me.
Wow.
I kept vomiting. My son said no. Mommy, you have got COVID. Let's go to the district hospital.
So what happened to your grandchildren? Where are they?
They went to Nogochi and they were all tested positive. So they have their own hospital they go to.
Other patients who are now out of danger and recovering from the virus are cautioning the public to adhere to the safety protocols.
Well, the sickness makes you very weak, very, very weak, and it's not comfortable at all. Okay, that's what I would say. People should observe the protocols. The disease is here.
Surprisingly, I've been very careful as to how to manage my affairs on this COVID issue. But sometimes you are constrained. You find yourself in a lot of activities you cannot run away from. And so before you rise, Jack, you have it.
If for any reason you have doubted the COVID-19 messages that have been out there, if for any reason you have let your guard down, you have ignored the safety protocols that have been outlined by doctors on the front line, the visuals from this room alone should tell you something. See how critically ill COVID-19 patients are battling for their lives. See how frontline health workers are breaking their backs, going every length to give these people a second chance to life. This should be a wake-up call to all of us, especially you. For Joy News, Matilda Gavi, Ga East.
Indeed, this should be a wake-up call to all of us. Meanwhile, doctors attending to these critically ill patients are worried about the severity of cases that are coming to the hospital.
We reduce the intake because we want to make sure those on admission get the best of care and recover before we take in any further new patients. So luckily, the infectious disease center is up and running now. Okay. So most of our new patients have been diverted to the infectious disease center. Yes, if you compare the severity of illness we're seeing now to what we had in the past, to what we had in 2020, we think more people are ill now than last year, and the severity of the illness has increased compared to what we were seeing last year. And this can't be due to chance. So if a new variant
what exactly is accounting for what we are seeing now? You said in the last 2 to 3 weeks. What is accounting for this rise or these changes we are seeing, the severity you're talking about?
Well, this coincides with the worldwide pattern of increased severity of COVID-19 across the world. If you look at most countries, UK, Germany, etc., they are more or less closing up now because they have more ill patients on admission. If you listen to international news, and that's exactly what we are experiencing now. And it has been acknowledged that the new variant is in country, including the South African variant as well. And these are known to cause more severe disease. So since we've had quite a few of our compatriots coming over the holidays, we believe that one way or the other, the new variant has found itself into the country and could be contributing to the severity of the disease we are currently seeing. That does not mean the old variant is not there. It's still there. It's still causing illness and disease. But when you compare the severity now to what we had earlier, we believe something has changed.
The infrared thermometer or thermometer gun has become one of the most essential devices for detecting the early signs of COVID-19. It helps operators to stand at a distance and get the temperature readings without the risk of contracting the virus. But concerns have been raised about the accuracy of the device as it sometimes records abnormally low or high temperatures. Is it the fault of the device or the operators who are to blame? On Tech Thursday, Love FM's Kwesi Deborah finds out more from a physicist, Professor Robin Tamaklo of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology.
There were 2 thermometer guns at the checkpoint. First one, it was 38 degrees. And then the man asked me to wait for a while. And then he checked me back again, and they said 38. So he asked me to go to another checkpoint, and it was 36. Then I realized that the machine, either I don't trust the machine, either have some battery problem or the machine doesn't work accurate as they have told us to.
The Magnum Research BFR, shooting at 1,814 feet per second, is one of the most powerful handguns in the world. But against the COVID-19, it's just a piece of metal. The El Chamano is this. Equipped with only infrared. At the mall, at the schools, and at the hospitals, you're definitely going to encounter somebody who's going to point the thermometer gun at you. But does it really work? And do we know everything about it? Let's find out more. Professor Ruben Tamaklo is with the Department of Physics, KNUST. He says the device is sometimes not well calibrated to serve its purpose.
Some are defective. Some are defective. Yeah, I ordered a tray, different ones. Just want to see which one will give me the. And that particular one, the very day I tested it was working. Well, I mean, they all give me the same temperature range. The following day, when I brought that one, instead of 37, it was reading 45. Then I did another one, did some other tests, what I don't know. The problem was from the thermometer. I changed the battery, it couldn't work properly, so I have to open and do some few regulations. That made it work. So even after that adjustment, I still have to test all, and now it is working perfectly. The manual, number one, they give you the range, I mean the distance to which you can measure effective temperature. And also the response time is 2 seconds. So if I point it at you, 2 seconds, and we can also read the 2 seconds, 1, 2, then you take it off, right? And then when the battery go low, that one also affects the reading. Yes. You can see you have been measuring nicely, and then after 1 month, it started reading differently. You may think the people who are coming are all sick. So, yeah. So that 36.3, because it's in the range, right? But, okay, the same thing, when I bring it, that's 36.3. So let me give it more than the 3. Yes, you see, 33.2, because it is out of range. You see, because it's out of range. You see, if it is too close, we will cause something interference. So you can have multiple interference, and you may not have the. So it is 1 centimeter to 3. So anything between that 1 centimeter and 3 centimeters work perfectly. So every time you have to educate the person we are giving this one to. When you go to the bank, you go to the shopping mall, they give the security men are the one who are using it, and they are not educated about this, about the thermometer gun. They just feel, oh, you can just point it at somebody and then measure. No, the range must be considered before you can get the right thing.
She is the queen of the sciences. And after writing your BEc and WASSE, you thought you were done with mathematics. But you see, without it, you're not even worthy to operate the thermometer gun. Always remember to mask up. And yes, always get checked. My name is Kwesi Debra for Joy News.
And back in the studio, my name is Aisha Ibrahim. 2 students of the Wazavie Minor Seminary have tested positive for coronavirus and are receiving treatment at the Upper West Regional Hospital's Treatment Center. 34 other students have been quarantined in one of the dormitories of the school. Rector of the seminary, Reverend Father Pamphilio Tengan, urged parents who have their wards there not to panic as the situation is under control. Joy News' Upper West correspondent Rafiq Salam reports from Wa.
Authorities at the Wazavie Minor Seminary stood motionless and in pensive mood. Their thoughts and prayers are with 2 of their students who have been reported to have contracted COVID-19 disease and recuperating at the Upper West Regional Hospital's Treatment Center. Rector of the Xavier Minor Seminary, Reverend Father Pamphilio Tengan, recounted what transpired.
It is true that 2 students have been confirmed with COVID-19 in the seminary. One of them complained about ill health and was sent down on Monday in the night. He was given treatment and returned to the school with the priest that sent him down. But then in the evening of Tuesday, a team came from the Municipal Health Directorate that they had tested our student and he was positive. And they were coming to send him to the isolation center. They didn't want to bring in the ambulance here to frighten the other students. So we had to get the student out of campus to join the ambulance and go to the isolation center. That was on Tuesday night. Yesterday in the morning, another student reported to the clinic and with symptoms. So I drove him down to the municipal hospital. He was tested and he was confirmed positive also. So the 2 are now at the regional isolation center.
The 2 students hail from the Wa municipality and Hambele in the Lamuse district. One of them had a family member he was close to who one time tested positive, but he did not.
One is from Wa. The other one came from Hamele, but is from Burkina, but he has relatives in Hamele and Tamale. So from Hamele, he traveled to Tamale before coming back. And he already had a member in the family who tested positive. And they tested him and he was negative. And when he came, the signs then came up and he was confirmed.
Reverend Father Pamphilio Tengan said 34 students who came into contact with the 2 students were counseled before being isolated in 2 separate dormitories. He called on parents who had their wards in the school not to panic as they are in control of the situation.
Luckily for us, the Deputy Regional Health Director for Public Health, he was here with our nurses and the other team members, plus the Catholic Executive Health Director. We spoke to the students on the need of isolation, and right now they are in their dormitories. They are not mixing with the students.
Upper West Region's Director of Health Services in charge of public health, Dr. Richard Wudasemi, who visited the school, commended the students for their cooperation, pledging that they were not going to leave any stone unturned in their bid to fight the disease.
We can for now say that the 2 cases do not appear to be epidemiologically linked. They may have contracted the virus from different environments, and so we are looking at that possibility. We would be establishing that in the coming days. But to break the transmission chain, we have identified the quarantine center as spacious enough that will be able to accommodate all those who came into contact with the 2 positive cases. The contact listing has been done, and a number of the students have been identified, and since yesterday they have been in quarantine.
Authorities at the Minor Seminary here have allocated 2 structures, one in front of me, another one behind me, to take care of the 34 students that they think have come into contact with the 2 students. In the next few hours, they will move to a much bigger place where it will contain all of them. Reporting for Joy News, Rafik Salam.
Wow.
Away from COVID-19, 4 people have been injured after surviving 2 separate near-death accidents on the Ablekuman-Manhyan Road, which is under construction. A number of shops along the stretch were also run into. In the following report, victims and residents of Manhyan are cautioning tipper truck drivers and other commercial vehicle drivers plying the road to drive responsibly and put an end to the destruction.
There have been huge clamor and demonstrations by townsfolk here for this particular stretch of road from Ablekuman to Manhyan to be constructed. Now, even before construction is completed, on the once pothole-riddled road, drivers are causing destruction on the road. They are knocking down pedestrians and also destroying properties along the stretch. This here is one of the properties that has been destroyed by some of the drivers on this particular stretch. Days ago, one of the drivers who was speeding on the stretch ran into this particular restaurant, bringing to an end once vibrant business.
We are at the shop. I couldn't know how the driver was driving a car. So we are sitting in front of our shop there. And the car was speeding, so we couldn't know that the car was coming to my shop. So let's say by the grace of God, we just stand up in front of the shop. I don't know. And the car crashed everything, and I have been affected on my leg, and my small boys too have been affected on his side.
His chin and his leg, I can see the
car crashed everything, my shop, my food, my everything. So I thank God that I and my son, we are alive.
We are heading to yet another home where the family has also been affected by the speeding vehicles on the stretch. This time around, 2 of the children of this particular family were knocked down by, we are told, a taxi driver. After knocking these kids down, the driver didn't wait. He left and fled the scene. You were telling me earlier that this boy was in coma for some time when the 2 of them were knocked down. Tell me more about that.
Oh, me go to hospital no. Still no coma. O friend John Paul obi ni si ohwe me ni mana wakata. John Paul hwe me ni ubekọ ejame. Na wa woso niti na wa tape me osiso mensa na wa so mensem.
John Paul now is having issues with his eyes. The camera will zoom in closely. You would find that, the sight is defective now. This isn't how it was, according to the mom, and that is what everybody is saying. But because of the accident, the impact has created this, defect for him. John Paul, tell me about how you felt that day when you were knocked down.
I was feeling very bad. And I thought I will never see my mother again.
You find that he's blinking the eye clearly. He's having some discomfort, with the eye. Let's talk about your eyes. You were not seeing clearly.
Yes.
So how was it?
It was very painful.
So that at that time, when I raised one finger, you were seeing it as 2?
Yes.
You were seeing it as two fingers?
Yes.
And when I raised 2 fingers, you would see it as how many?
4.
As 4. What message do you have for the drivers who are plying the road, who are driving with so much speed? What message do you have for them? You are lucky to be alive today. What message do you have for them?
I'll tell them to stop driving very fast like that. Otherwise, they can also die one day.
It is the hope of these people that what they wanted as blessing does not turn out to be a curse, as some families are already experiencing it in their homes. Latif Idris, Joy News, Manhian.
We're live on Joy News Prime. We'll take a break for the second part of business with Charles Aite.
There, we're back with business. The Ghana Private Road Transport Union is ruling out an immediate increment in transport fares across the country. There's more in this report.
The Ghana Private Road Transport Union, GPRT, in responding to our queries, gives several reasons to back its decision not to start engaging government now for an increase in fares. According to the GPRT, the increment by the various oil marketing companies doesn't cross their own established 10% threshold that should push for talks with government for an increase in fares. Now, this is a sharp departure from the previous convention where, if within a quarter, fuel prices should go up by more than 5% together with increments in other variables like insurance and spare parts that should actually push for an increment in fares. A careful look at the adjustments that have been done over the past few days show that the increment is about 9% based on numbers supplied by analysts. This is 1% shy of the 10% target that the GPRTU has set for itself to actually push for talks to increase fares. But the union was actually quick to add that if there are further increases as projected, then they would definitely push for an increment in fares. By that time, the union believes the sector minister should be in office to aid their discussions for adjustment in fares. So for now, we could be excused from any significant increase in the cost of living in the coming days because the transport operators are not going to increase fares, at least for the next 2 weeks.
Ghana's oil reserves are left with about 2.5 billion barrels more to be produced if new oil discoveries are not made. This represents about 86% of the total oil reserves. We have more in this report.
According to Fitch Solutions, only about 400 million barrels of oil so far been produced from the Jubilee and Tane fields since the country began oil production in the year 2011. This signifies ample opportunity for Ghana's upstream oil production. However, ongoing technical issues at both fields provide some risks to the country's oil production potential. Previous issues have meant output at the Jubilee and Tane fields is currently capped at 70% of maximum floating production, storage and offload capacity. Nonetheless, Tullow Oil's recent focus on improving water injection efficiency and optimizing wells is set to enhance the field's output over Fitch Solutions forecast period. This raises the prospect of increasing recoverable reserves at both the Jubilee and Tane fields. There are currently 49 injection and production wells at Jubilee and Tane fields planned between 2021 and 2030, with each production well projected to have an initial production rate of 10 to 15,000 barrels per day. Despite the company's ambitions, it is unlikely all wells will reach the desired initial production rates over the planned period, given the decline rates at the field. At the moment, the nation is still awaiting a boost from the Pecan field, which is expected to come on stream in 2025.
Away from that, a senior lecturer in finance at the University of Ghana Business School, Vera Fiado, has urged the government to make use of data and information to drive economic growth. Here's her reasons why.
With regard to the Global Knowledge Index, now Ghana is ranked 101, in the index, but are we still lagging behind despite the country being ranked 10th in Africa?
Okay. Now, generally, yes. We've been ranked 101, but if you look at the total sample that was used, that's 138. So that brings us into the lower quartile range, more within the lower echelons of the rankings. So that obviously raises a few concerns. Now, if you look at the figures per the report that was given, to a large extent, Ghana falls way below the average. So whilst they are very top performance, in general, Ghana's performance is a bit worrisome. And even in the areas where we still fared relatively better, let's say in ICT, etc., we still had a score that was below average in general.
What really can we do with regard to either improving or maintaining the position that we currently have?
Yeah, in terms of if you look at the economy in general, what it definitely means, given that it's linking to the global knowledge index, it's about the use of information or data or knowledge to drive the economy. And you can tell from even the ranking on the R&D that we didn't do that well at all. What it means is that a lot of the research and innovation that will tailor our economy to ride on the best, should I call it, characteristics that we haven't explored to the fullest. So it's about time we gave a lot of attention to R&D, etc., to ensure that whatever moves we make as an economy is predicated on the strength, the comparative advantages that we have as an economy. That's the way I see it going.
COVID has taught us a lot of lessons when it comes to research and investing into research and what have you. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, when it comes to research in Ghana, I think there are quite a number of challenges. On one hand, you sometimes have to struggle to get, respondents, whether firms, etc., to partake in studies. Partly is also because they have fears, and of course, sometimes they are genuinely founded because, let's say, financial data, depending on whether the firm is, if it's listed, of course, that's literally public info. But when it's not listed, you find that that's their information which they would like to protect as much as possible.
And that'll be all for business. Sports is up next.
Hello, good evening and welcome to the second part of the sports segment with me, Ray Kwampov, when we do stick with some more Ghana football news, where the Ghana Football Association Technical Director, Bernard Lippe, says he would need more time to understand the country's football identity before rolling out policies. We do have more for you in the following report.
The German has been in charge since October when he was appointed as a replacement for veteran Ghanaian coach Oti Akinten, but he is yet to properly take charge and fully run the directorate. Mr. Lippe has come under pressure following the Black Starlets' failure to qualify for the 2021 Africa U17 Cup of Nations, with many questioning the technical direction he provided. But the 58-year-old claims he has no idea about the football structure of the country and will require more time to create one.
3 national teams where the players really get a structure how to learn professional football after a national football philosophy of Ghana.
Okay, so are you bringing a different system?
I don't know. I told you before that I have to make an assessment first and have to find out the identity. I don't know your identity of your country. When I found it out, I will see, but for sure we need some changes.
Still on to more Ghana football, where Chief Executive Officer of Right to Dream Academy Tom Vernon tells Joy Sports their decision to partner Egyptian billionaire Mohamed Mansour is to create more opportunities for talent across the continent. According to him, though Ghana remains Right to Dream's grouped up for talent destination, they will expand their scope to other countries with a replica expected in Egypt later this year. Muftar Nabil Abdullahi has more in the following report.
The partnership between the two entities would see Mans Capital take majority shares of the academy, much noted for producing the best talents in the country and having built to a point where they were self-sustainable to the extent that they could buy a club in Europe, not just land. This news comes as a surprise. However, founder of the academy, Tom Vernon, tells Joy Sports the motivation behind their move.
We believe that everyone has the right to dream, and we know that especially on the African continent, the access to achieving your dreams in football is very limited. Yes. And so we're very proud of the opportunities that we've managed to create in Ghana for footballers to become successful, as we know, but also, the 70+ students who've gone to university in America. And we proved that we've designed a model which does allow you to achieve your dreams and to have the right to dream. So we'll continue to expand and strengthen in Ghana, which is our home and our heartbeat. And then we're very, very excited to be building a Right to Dream in Egypt, which is a massive investment from the Mansours. And the model of the academy in Egypt will follow the model that everybody's used to in Ghana for Right to Dream in Ghana.
The financial terms per Joy Sports sources is 100 million euros. Tom Vernon corroborated Joy Sports sources, breaking down the details.
So the investment into Right to Dream Egypt will be 30 million euros, and the investment into the group expansion of Right to Dream beyond Egypt, which encompasses Ghana and FCN, will also be 30 million euros. And the reason that the 100 million figure has been arrived at is that I've also put my equity and the business today into the group. So the value of FC Nordsjælland and Right to Dream today sits at around 40 million. So the combined 60 investment and the 40 that I put in creates the 100 million euro figure.
Right to Dream Academy was founded in Ghana in 1999. They have produced a significant number of players for the national team, notably David Akam, Majid Warish, and recently Mohamed Kudus.
Let's now travel overseas and get some more updates on Ghanaian players abroad, where Aston Villa under-23 coach George Boateng is backing young Ghanaian defender Mohamed Salisu to make his mark in the English Premier League, despite his early struggles. The 21-year-old joined the Premier League side in a £10 million deal in August last year, but he is yet to feature for the club this season due to concerns over his fitness level. Now, George Boateng, a former Netherlands midfielder, has no doubt Salisu will impress in the English Premier League.
He's young, he's 21 years old, right? And sometimes when you go to a different league, it takes time. It's been only there for 3 months, and he needs patience. The manager said that he's not yet match fit. He's learning to pick up the pace, to pick up the tactics, the style of play, how they play, and Southampton is doing outstanding. They're doing really well. But because he's so young, I don't think we should really be worried too much and give him time to learn. I remember when Didier Drogba joined Chelsea, and the first season was really difficult for Didier with the fouls. He had to deal with the physicality. He's a big boy, but whenever they pushed him, he fell over. So then in the summer, I think he thought about it and worked really hard and came back, and the rest is history. So with Mohamed, we have to really be patient.
Well, that was Mohamed Salisu, and we'll be hoping to see him in Southampton colours soon. But Southampton are not in action tonight. It's Liverpool who are, and their struggles seem to continue. It's still 0-0 between Liverpool and Burnley currently at Anfield, and you can get updates of that game at Joy Sports GH on our social media handles as well. Well, that's how we're wrapping up the sports here. My name is Oreko Ampofo.
And that'll be it for Joy News Prime. My name is Aisha Prime. Many thanks for watching. For more news, log on to my Joy Online for all the updates.